Hello and welcome to an honest walkthrough and review of Intimate Viola Iremia by Bunker Samples. This is a soft solo texture library. If you're looking for staccato, staccatissimos, quick run, legato-esque stuff, this is not the library for you. This is for those long, drawn out, lonely, barren-esque sounds, or how they describe it, tranquility, peace, serenity, quietness, or at least the definition of Iremia. But in all honesty, how I've used it and how I feel it works best is for those drawn out, desolate, haunting landscape sort of sounds, but we'll get more into that when we get into the video. Now, before we go any further, this will require the full version of Kontakt, and it's currently on sale for $49, which in all honesty is a steal. That ends on the 10th of December. But what makes this library so unique is some of the recording techniques they use. They quite literally, as we can see down here, stuck a microphone inside the viola, which created quite an interesting effect. They also have a super close, mid and far mic positions, so lots going for it there. We can see there's tons of articulations, there's swells, there's textures, there's sustains, there's dynamic layers, quite literally the edge of silence. I definitely think my favorite is the mid microphone and the harmonics. Wait till we get to those. They're absolutely amazing and rival Spitfire solo strings sounds in my opinion. So without further ado, link is in the description as always, but let's move into the full version of Kontakt and get looking what we get. So this is the main panel. There's a couple of different panels you get with it. This is the main. You have a dynamic sustain one, which is the crossfade between the articulations. On the main one, they're split up, so you'll get a crossfade between the Normale, the Concertino, and the Super Concertino. You then have a crossfade between Concertino and Normale. That's another patch which we'll look at later, and then you have the swells patch as well. But on the main panel, mic positions at the top, articulations, click to change. We have ADSR, which is really nice to see. A line to start, on or off. There we go. We've got dynamics, and you can go into a little bit more depth there with the settings. Expression, which is standard. We've got delay and reverb on as well, but I believe that's completely off. We don't want any of that when we're going through a review. We want to hear the raw sound for what it is. So how this video is going to work: we're first going to flick through the different articulations we have here on the main patch. We're then going to look at the different mic positions, see what the difference is between them. We're then going to move into the different panels and have a look at the dynamic sustains, the Concertino to Normale, and the swells. And then we'll have an overall opinion of what we think of this library and if it's really worth your dollars or pounds or euros. Anyway, let's get into the sounds themselves and dive straight in. Initial impressions, absolutely gorgeous. Those are recorded on the edge of silence, and I feel there's a nice balance of resin and viola. That could be just because we've got all the mic positions on the initial mix that we have loaded. Also, I think you can actually go into those a little bit more, but again, that's something we'll look at in a little bit. But that sound right off the bat, I'm absolutely loving it. Just that wispy, desolate sound that I was talking about in the beginning. Let's move on to the next one. I love how complex the sound actually is. I wish there was a vibrato control, but overall, just hitting a note, you've got that natural vibrato, you've got some bowing going on in there as well, and you can get away with just hitting a chord and not having to go ham with the dynamics, go ham with the vibrato control. This is a very much out of the box, nice sounding library that I'm not going to have to do a lot of work with, but you're not going to be able to do a legato with this. Let's move on to a slightly louder version of Normale. And you can do some absolutely gorgeous chordal stuff with this. Anyway, console D now. I think I could play with this one for days. Just I want to say the vibe, but that sounds very woke. Anyway, concertino a little bit louder now. They definitely have a character and it's easy to convey emotion. I think that's the words I was looking for before. Right, that's the concertinos. Let's look at the super concertino. And the pianissimo version. Right, those are your, I guess, standard articulations. Let's move on to the more interesting ones. Bow pulses concertino. Very easy, very playable. I love the slight change of dynamic within these pulses, a slight change of tempo, that just the pulse, it really describes it perfectly. Just those pulses, it just wants you to move forward. And again, very mood setting. Right, vibrato pulses. My mind keeps going to the music of Schindler's List, that violin, and the way they captured it there. I'm just. That's sort of the vibe I'm getting from this library. I know they said it's tranquility, peace, serenity. I'm getting the complete opposite. That's probably just the way I'm playing. But if anything, that just shows you the broad variety of music you can create with this library. Beautiful. The quality is definitely there. Random Rebo Concertino. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Random Rebo Normale. I love how intimate those are, and again, just very, very playable. Tremolo bursts Concertino. Yeah, not my favourite, but I like them. They're good. The quality's there if it's what you're looking for. There you go. Fluctuated Trem Concertino. Very fluttery, almost bird-like. Fluttering Trem Normale. Okay, beautiful, well recorded. Now for my absolute favourite. These harmonics honestly rival Spitfire Solo Strings library. Just talk about the edge of silence and just that barren, intimate wasteland sound that those just come across with. They're just so usable, and you can get away with almost legato-esque movement there as well. And it almost has the perfect balance of resin and actual viola sound as well. It just works so well. And I'm almost speechless. I don't know what more to say about these, but I just absolutely love those harmonics. But those are all the articulations we're getting. I really like the little images, actually. They really do describe the sound very, very well. But those are the articulations. Which is your favorite? Let's now move on to these mic positions. We're going to just do a sustain, normale, pianissimo. And one thing I do like is the fact that we have a stereo control. I say that and then I pick the one that doesn't have a stereo control. Let's look at the super close. I like the fact that we can make these mono or widen them out a little bit so that we can have maybe the far very wide, but the super close almost mono, creating some interesting stereo effects. Before we start experimenting, let's look at each individual mic position. So this is the microphone inside the viola. Which personally I don't like on its own. There's a reason why we don't record violas normally on the inside. It sounds very compressed and you're missing where the sound is actually coming from. But mixed in with other things, it does add little bits of detail. But if this is the sound you're going for, there you have it. Now let's look at the super close. Now you can see the body's coming back. We're getting a bit more of that spectrum of frequencies. But if we add a little bit of the inside as well, I say a little bit, it just adds a little bit more detail to me. I don't know if you can hear that. Please wear headphones. Close. Let's move on to that mic position. Now, how does that compare with that other close? It is slightly further away and you're getting a little bit less resin with the close than you are the super close mid. I think this one, as I said in the beginning, is my favorite. Because you get a really nice stereo spread and you get this lovely range of frequencies as well, bouncing off the walls. You just have a more fuller, richer sound. And then with the far, not as far as I personally would like. The mid and far are quite similar. The super close and close are quite similar. And then you have the inside, which actually, if you mix in the mid and the inside, that has a very nice effect. It just adds that little bit more detail and that little bit more treble to that. And it just kind of gives you this almost on top of you but spacious effect, I feel, with those two mixed together. And if we take it off, But again, I really do like the stereo spread of the mid and far. But again, we can proper widen those out if we really want to have a really nice stereo effect. So that is the mic positions. Of course, you can add or decrease gain for each of these as well. I actually really like how they've set them up. There's lots of wiggle room, and I find with libraries that are very quiet, sometimes you don't have that wiggle room. I'm trying to think what library it is now, and I'm almost tempted to say, is it BBC Symphony Orchestra? But there is a library I reviewed where I was just missing that oomph, that push. This you can, and you know, I'm not even pushing these samples, but I can hear them very nicely. They're very intimate, they're very clean sounding. Right, that's the main patch. We've looked at the mic positions, we've looked at the articulations. Let's move into the dynamic sustain patch, which, as you can see there, we've got sustain normale, and we're going through the different dynamic layers, so we've got a lot more expression we can put into this. But like I just said, the fact that we can have right at the bottom this beautiful quiet sound still coming out, and again at the top we still have this almost quite loud but quiet sound. This library does that very well. We're not having to push the samples, we're not having to add tons of gain or any gain at all. And you've got lots and lots of wiggle room there to create expression with the samples you have. This is a patch I definitely see myself using a lot. The main one is nice, but it's nice having a bit more expression, more dynamic control, right? We do have a concertino to normale, not something I normally see, but it does have a very interesting effect. It just creates more interest texturally instead of dynamically. See, volume were pretty much the same, but texturally there's a lot going on. So it's nice this library is giving you options, and this library has an absolute ton of content, as you've probably realized. So you really are getting a bang for your buck. Now, before we end this video, I feel it's only right that we look at the swells. Now, there is the time machine version as well, especially if you're stretching things out a little bit more. We will quickly look at those. But what is nice, well, you can choose how long your swell is. You can do swells with concertino, swell tremolo concertino, or just swell normale. And what is nice about these is they do go from the edge of silence and go in and out. And these are really well made swells. They're very playable, they're very malleable. Malleable? Malleable. And the release is really nice. I feel all of these have been tuned really nicely. When I say tuned, I mean the attack, the release, that they're not clipping, they're not cutting, there's no noise. They feel very natural, they feel very normal. I guess. Realistic, that's the word I'm looking for. They feel very realistic and well put together. And if you do need to stretch them out just a little bit more, you can using the time stretch. If we do that and put it on 4 seconds. You can stretch them out a bit, which again, it's nice having those options. It's nice having that content. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. But what do you think of this library? Honestly, it has surprised me. The quality is outstanding. Quality I expect from companies like Spitfire Audio. You have it here. You have some very unique and interesting articulations. I love the mic positions. There's just a plethora of choice and options. They've really utilized the samples they've created to the best of their ability, and I'm kind of speechless at some of the things they've created. Those harmonics, honestly, I will be reaching for those over things I've got worth 3 or 4 times the price. The quality is there. I cannot emphasize that enough. And the different styles of music you can create with this, I feel, is endless. And the emotions you can create, it's so emotive. That's the word. It's so emotive. You hit a chord and immediately you're feeling sad, you're feeling happy. This library has that. It's captured the character of the viola, and that's what I love so much about it. But a link is in the description. Capture it while you can, while it's on sale. I'm not an affiliate at all. The creator did email me and send me this library, but I gain nothing financially from telling you to go out and buy it. But at the end of the day, it's up to you what you spend your money on. If you're looking for something like this, I highly recommend it. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.